Welcome to Veteran Resource Podcast, where you will meet nonprofit organizations focused on improving the lives of veterans and their family members. Here is your host, Jeremy Paris.
Welcome, everybody, to episode 105 of the Veteran Resource Podcast. I'm your host, Jeremy Paris. We have a great episode for you coming up today, but first, I just wanted to thank the couple of patrons that have come in so far. Thank you very much for checking out the page and looking at the rewards that I have for all of the people who are able to help out with the podcast. So for the first two that came in, I want to give a shout out. We had Deidre from Music for More coming in as our first patron. And Music for More was on the podcast back in episode 23. So if you haven't heard that one, make sure you go back. You can find that one at veteranresourcepodcast.com/023. And then we also had Lynn from Catch a Lift come in as the second patron. Thank you very much, Lynn. And again, Lynn was on the podcast back in episode 35. So if you want to hear that episode, make sure you go back and check that one out, veteranresourcepodcast.com/035. And if you want to hear your name on a future episode, go and check out the Patreon page. You can find it at patreon.com. That's patreon.com/Jeremy Paris. All one word. Okay, for today's episode, we've got Dr. Eugene Lipov. He's the founder of HealingHero.com and the Global Post-Traumatic Stress Injury Foundation. He is the doctor first to perform the Stellate Ganglion Block, SGB, for treatment of PTSD, with results currently showing an efficacy rate of 80+%. The Stellate Ganglion Block is the first truly biologic approach to PTSD. In addition to being the driving force behind HealingHero.org, Dr. Lipov is the Chief Science Officer of the Global PTSI Foundation and a world-renowned certified anesthesiologist who specializes in pain management. He first discussed the Stellate Ganglion Block in front of Congress in 2010 and has published numerous medical papers on the use of SGB for PTSD. He and his patients have appeared on the Doctor's TV show multiple times to talk about the Stellate Ganglion Block and PTSD. Media, publications, and reports are available at healinghero.org. A serial entrepreneur, doctor, and advocate, Dr. Lipov is dedicated to helping military personnel suffering from PTSD transition to a productive, healthy life. All right, let's jump right into the interview. Dr. Lipov, welcome to the Veteran Resource Podcast. How are you doing today?
I'm great. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, I'm excited to hear all about what we have going on here. Now, you're with the Global Post-Traumatic Stress Injury Foundation. Can you give me just a brief elevator pitch for what that foundation is doing?
So Global Post-Traumatic Stress Injury Foundation is a foundation that's function is to be able to treat people with PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder. Actually, we'd like to change the name to PTSI, post-traumatic stress injury. And the foundation has paid for a number of veterans to be, and active duty personnel to be treated for their PTSD that has been unresponsive to any other therapeutics. So our job is to treat PTSD using Stellate Ganglion Block, and we need a financial resource of that. We certainly need a lot more of that, but essentially we try to treat patients with PTSD, military and non-military.
Great. And I'm looking forward to getting deeper into that. But first, I just wanted to get a little bit about your background. What can you tell us about yourself?
So I was born in Ukraine. I came to this country in 1973. I finished medical school in Northwestern in the 80s. I did a couple of years of general surgery and trauma surgery. And then I went to anesthesia. And then I've been an assistant professor of anesthesia for a few years. And then through an interesting set of circumstance, I figured out how to use an old procedure called Stellate Ganglion Block, which is an injection in the neck to treat post-traumatic stress disorder in a very rapid fashion. And that's how we got connected. I can get you more detail, of course, about any of that.
Yeah, so let's start off with the stellate ganglion block. What exactly is that?
So basically, stellate ganglion is a sympathetic nerve fibers, which is fight and flight that people are familiar with. So the way the sympathetic system is organized is there are bundles of nerves in different parts of the body that control different parts of the body. The one in the neck seems to control the arm as well as the brain. And when somebody is confronted by horrible trauma, such as military trauma or rape, uh, new nerve fibers, sympathetic fibers, grow in the brain and produce more adrenaline. And that's sustained, and that's why people get very anxious, can't sleep, and so on. And what we found out is that when we do an injection in the neck on the right side, it reverses the process. And that's people get, I like to call it reboot to the pre-trauma state. That's why people, after the shot, like for example, a 40-year veteran can have severe PTSD for 40 years. Then we do stellate, he comes out comfortable and happy within 30 minutes, and it reverses all those years of problems.
Just one time they go in?
Particularly gentlemen, I was thinking about had two. Average number we do per person is about 2.5. Let me give you an example of real world so you can get a feel for that, if that's okay.
Okay, yeah, perfect.
So we had a gentleman that was special ops from Peoria, Illinois, and then he was brought down with unfriendly fire twice, and he had pretty significant TBI. Then he was patrolling the streets in Iraq, and a child was sent at them to take out his squad laden explosives, 10-year-old child. So he shoots the child, pieces of the child hit him. It became a horrible problem for him. He came home trying to strangle his wife 3 times.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it was horrible. So his employer's father was my patient, oddly enough. So this gentleman was sent to me. We did 2 stellates. This was 8 years ago. He's fully employed off all psychiatric drugs, still with the same woman, doing very well. So that's the real world example.
That is great. That is fantastic.
Thank you.
Was this figured out by accident that this would work for PTSD?
No, actually, I was the one who did it. So I'll tell you the story about it. So it all started when I took care of people with hot flashes. My brother actually came up with a great idea to take care of hot flashes because I had sent him a patient that had severe hot flashes and she had a burning arm, burning everywhere, like hot flashes women get during menopause.
Mm.
So there is a diagnosis called celiac complex regional pain syndrome, burning of the arm. The treatment of burning of the arm is stellate ganglion block. So my brother said, well, burning arm, burning everywhere is kind of the same thing. So why don't we try to do a stellate? And we did that, and it worked very well. And then I published on that, and Chicago Tribune attacked me quite a bit. They said, you don't know what you're doing, and you shouldn't be doing it. And the main complaint was, you don't know why it works. So in the process of trying to figure out why it works for hot flashes, I read about 3,000 articles. One of them was from Finland, where they were doing clipping of sympathetic ganglia in the chest for hand sweating, and they found that PTSD went away. So after I read that article, I thought this should really work for PTSD, and that's why I did it.
Wow. And what percentage would you say this works with your patients?
When I started, it used to be 70-75%. We are currently about 85 to 90%, and there are 2 reasons for that I can tell you about, but it's very high. And the great thing about our approach compared to conventional approaches, the compliance is 100%, meaning people come in, we do the procedure, you don't have to take pills, and we can control pretty much everything that happens.
Wow, that is incredible. Is this being recognized by like the VA and the government?
Yeah, kinda.
Slow on the go, huh?
Well, yes and no. Yes, in a sense that 7 military institutions have now replicated my work. They've treated about 2,500 patients through various institutions. There is a study being done through Fort Bragg right now. VA just came out last month saying that this has a lot of promise. I have attempted to get funding 3 times to get it done to prove it, but it was not, they never funded me. So There is a lot of potential, but it's been a relatively slow go, unfortunately. That's why we need the foundation to help me pay for that and treat a bunch of people. Most people I treat are from out of state.
Oh, really? They come in. Where are you located?
Chicago, Illinois.
You're in Chicago. Okay, so they come into Chicago for this.
Yeah.
So are other organizations, like nonprofit organizations or foundations, using this method now too?
I'm not aware of that.
Not aware? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
For the service member or the veteran who is going to be getting this treatment, is it only for like a certain level of PTSI? Like, does it have to be like a certain, like if it's just mild or if it's extremely bad?
Well, who am I to make the decision, right? So if it interferes with people's lives, then it's bad enough. And the way we usually decide on who to treat, who not to treat, is we do something called PCL, which is a questionnaire. If people call us up and say, hey, we need help, typically they have enough of a problem that we should treat them. That's how I look at it.
Right.
Obviously there's going to be times where the good thing about this particular approach, there's no real advantage to go through that unless you have a real problem. For example, some of the other treatments, and I'm not necessarily bad-mouthing them, but if you get ketamine infusions, ketamine can give you hallucinations. Or you get ecstasy, so you can get high legally for treatment. So there is a secondary reason to get treated. The only reason to get this shot is to get rebooted to the pre-trauma state. So I don't see why somebody would abuse that.
And so the feeling that they're getting afterward, it's almost as if those symptoms are just going away. They're not there anymore. They're blocked. So
a lot of people, the biggest group of people in the military who use that is special ops people. Because what they find is that the operators, as they call them in the military, what they find is that they're able to go back to being calm, collected under fire. It doesn't numb up their feelings, but it turns off the emotional kind of overreactivity. So, for example, a gentleman that I was telling you about who had severe problems following shooting the child, he said, I remember doing that, but it doesn't really affect me like that anymore.
Oh, wow.
So that's a big deal because there is two types of memory. There is memory of facts and there is emotional memory. So the memory of emotion is really not helpful going forward. You see my point? Right.
So this form of therapy, I guess this is taking that emotional part of it away for
right.
the memory.
Right. But what's interesting is people then, since they don't have an overwhelming amount of emotion, now they have the amount of emotion that they can have a good response, laugh with the children, be very loving to the family and stuff like that.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, it doesn't numb up the emotion. It just turns off the over the top emotion that's really not helpful for anyone.
And this is a lasting effect. Like once they get this done, if it takes 2 or 3 times, and then those symptoms go away, they're pretty much good now. They don't have to get this done on an ongoing basis. Is that correct?
Well, maybe yes, maybe no again. It depends what happens. If you think about it, if somebody has more trauma, sometimes they need to come back. Some people need 5 of them, and some people just need 2 of them, and some need just 1.
Oh, wow.
It's variable. It depends also, it happens how the body responds to the shot, but it also it depends what kind of trauma they're going through.
The surgery itself or the process itself, can you kind of walk me through what that would be like if there was a listener that was listening to this now and they said, wow, this is something that I really want to get done. I'm having some pretty serious issues with PTS. I want to get this done. And they call you up, they go through your process. Can you walk me through like what this would look like for them?
Absolutely. Well, the first part of the process is we fill out a PCL, which is a questionnaire. If they fit our criteria, people come in, they have an IV placed in their arm, they align their back, we clean up the neck. Half of the people want to have sedation, the other half don't. And after they're sedated or whatever, we use X-ray guidance to put the needle in the right spot. We put dye in to make sure the medication will go in the right spot. If the dye goes in the right spot, then following that, we put medication in. And the whole thing takes about 7 to 10 minutes. We take the needle out and we're done.
It seems pretty incredible. 7 to 10 minutes between what could be a lifetime of symptoms and being rid of them.
Well, I agree with you. That's been part of the issue. People say it can't be that simple. So if you go on the web, put my name into it, you can see all the TV appearances I had and people talking about it, and you can see how it's done. So, keep in mind, Stella has been around since 1926.
Oh, wow.
So it's an old procedure. What's new about it is I was able to figure out a new indication for it, a new reason to do it.
But back then they were only using it for heat flashes.
No. Primarily, It was originally used. I was the first one to describe it with hot flashes and PTSD.
Oh, okay.
In the past, they were used for arm pain and headaches only.
Oh, really? Wow.
Mm-hmm. Yes, sir.
And what are the next steps for the foundation itself, Global Post-Traumatic Stress Injury Foundation? What are the next steps that you see moving forward?
Well, we're trying to raise funds to treat more and more people. Ideally, we'd like to train other physicians to do it, and we'd like to pay for those treatments to be done. Since VA doesn't cover this treatment, nor do any other insurance company, a lot of people are suffering needlessly. And if you look at the cost of conventional therapeutics being $6,000 to $30,000 per year, compared to our cost, which is about $1,500, and the efficacy rate much higher, it really doesn't make any sense to me how it's being done, but it is what it is. So we are trying to do fundraising, we're trying to treat more people. We also have a plan, if you can get a significant amount of funds, to have a fully automated robotic approach to do it for large populations. So if you say there is an earthquake or nuclear explosion somewhere, just bring a ship in with robotic ability to do it. We can treat 1,000 people per day or more. So we have a few big plans, but again, we'll really start for the resources. I also would like to do a real study using functional MRI that measures the brain activity and to demonstrate stellate efficacy. There have been some of it, but small scale studies.
Do you see a time in the future where the VA will accept this, you think?
Oh yeah, we're getting close.
If the VA does accept that, like what would that look like then for you? You would be pretty much having to train people across the board for anybody using the VA. Is that right?
Not necessarily. The problem VA, I don't think is really set up. They don't have enough people to do this type of procedures in the big picture. So if they do accept it, I would like the ability to provide that care outside the VA. Because a lot of the patients, a lot of your listeners, a lot of times do not want to go to the VA for treating with PTSD for multiple reasons.
Mm-hmm.
So we have actually a plan how to provide the care for all the veterans outside this environment.
Oh, nice.
Again, all it takes is resources. We can have it done, but I'm much better at medicine than fundraising or other things.
Absolutely. Yeah. For the people out there that would like to donate for the foundation, how do they get in contact with you to donate?
Well, easiest way to do it is you can either go to website healinghero.org or call our number 844-SGB-PTSD.
Great. And I will make sure that I put that in the show notes too, just to make it super easy for people to get connected with you and hopefully get some more money into the foundation so we can get some more of our veterans and military members treated with this. About how much does it cost for treating one individual?
$1,500.
$1,500. Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So if somebody's able to donate $1,500, that's going to completely take care of the treatment for one individual.
Everything. Yes, sir. Also, we can use air miles because we have a number of people like to bring in and their families.
Oh, wow. So people can donate air miles or money.
Yes, sir. No donation too big, no donation too small. It goes straight to we don't have a high overhead. This is just treating people.
That is great. Outstanding. Well, did I fail to cover anything about the Stellate Ganglion Block?
No, I think if people are interested, they can go on healinghero.org. That has all the information, or call our number.
Great. Okay, Dr. Lipov, we are ready for the final 3 questions then.
Sure.
All right, question number 1. Who would you like to hear on a future episode of the Veteran Resource Podcast?
I would like to hear people who have been treated with stellate ganglion block and see how they change their lives.
Oh, that would be great. I'll have to connect with you and see if we can make that happen.
Okay.
Okay, what upcoming project has you fired up right now?
We are actually going to be on the Doctor Show. It's playing today. So we are actually currently, besides treating veterans in general, we have had great success in treating MST, military sexual trauma. So we're really getting into that as well. And women has really done beautifully with that. So I'm pretty excited about that. I've been trying to help women, veterans with that, but usually they isolate themselves. But we finally were able to get some traction there, and we're starting to see some really good improvements.
Oh, wow. That is great. I have some connections that I'm going to make once we get off here.
That'd be great.
Okay, and then the final question here. If you woke up tomorrow and found out that somebody made an anonymous donation of $10 million to your organization, what would you do with it?
Well, you probably can guess. So here's how it works. $2 million would go toward the study to be done in Duke University and Fort Bragg to do functional MRI. I would just give them that money and have them do the study. The $8 million will go to treatment. So if you take $8 million divided by 1,500, that's how many people get treated.
That would be incredible.
Straightforward.
Wow. Okay, so for that person out there with $10 million, you're looking for a place to put it. You've been looking all over. This is an awesome opportunity for you to put that money to good use. And for that person, or for anybody else who might have slightly less than $10 million and they want to donate, one more time, can you tell us what is the best way to get in contact with you?
1-844-SGB-PTSD is the phone number, and healinghero.org. And keep in mind, this is all fully deductible. It's a non-for-profit organization.
Excellent. Excellent. Well, Dr. Lipov, thank you so much for coming on the show today and telling us all about the great work that you're doing with the Stellate Ganglion Block.
Thank you so much.
You have a great day.
You too, sir. Bye-bye.
Thank you so much for listening to this episode. As always, make sure you go and check out the show notes. You can find those at veteranresourcepodcast.com/105. And if you haven't yet, go and check out the Patreon page. It's at patreon.com/Jeremy Paris. And you can see all of the rewards that are set up there, which is a cool little way for me to give something back to you for helping out the podcast. I really appreciate it, and it's going to do a lot for helping to keep this going on a continuous basis in the future. That's all I have for you today. Thank you so much, and I'll see you tomorrow for episode 106.